Welcome, everybody. My name is Roger Durling. I'm the executive director of the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. And with me is the legendary Spike Lee. Over the course of a remarkable 30-plus year career, Academy Award winning visionary filmmaker Spike Lee has crafted an indelible body of work dating back to his 1986 indie breakthrough, She's Gotta Have It. And he followed it with Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, Inside Man, and Black Klansman. He is proving himself time and again to be one of the world's most original and prolific writer-directors. He has built a singular reputation as a formidable, uncompromising creative force whose art is rooted in truth, as well as outspoken proponent for social justice. Now here comes The Five Bloods, the best picture of the year, and one of the best pictures, period. This epic adventure involves 4 African-American vets, and the importance of having Black men as protagonists telling this story cannot be overstated. And these gents returned to Vietnam for a fateful double mission, searching for the remains of their fallen squad leader who taught them to coexist as both patriots and rebels, and the search of a buried treasure. All of this while confronting the immorality of the Vietnam War and the racism and bigotry back at home, both in the past and present. This movie is not only a crowd pleaser, but it's something that we can all go and experience and help us reset our moral compasses. Everybody, let's welcome the great Spike Lee. Spike, from the get-go, the movie starts with this collage, which roots us in facts and history and social justice, and this very outspoken man, Muhammad Ali. Can you tell us about that opening montage and how did it come about?
Well, thank you for having me. Good seeing you again. And also thank you for that warm introduction. This film, The Five Bloods, has a prologue and epilogue, 2 bookends by 2 great humanitarians who spoke out against the immoral war that Vietnam was when it was not popular. Prologue is Muhammad Ali. He got stripped of his heavyweight championship title, lost prime years of his athleticism, never to be regained. And then the epilogue is Dr. Martin Luther King.
And he's quoting Langston Hughes.
Yes, quoting Langston Hughes, one of his most famous speeches, Riverside Church, April 4th, 1967. And he was assassinated 1 year later to the day. That is not a coincidence.
In that collage, you start introducing the voice of Marvin Gaye. And not only, you use 6 songs from the What's Going On album, and they almost become like a roadmap throughout the movie. Can you tell us about that, about the fact that the songs are not just there as background music, they become, as I said, like a roadmap for the movie?
Yes, the songs are from what I feel, and many others, the greatest album, one of the greatest albums ever, What's Going On. And Marvin had an older brother named Franklin that did 3 tours in Vietnam as a radio operator. So he was writing Marvin, letters, firsthand account of the war's hell. And also Marvin was seeing the Bloods come back from Vietnam to Detroit, crippled, maimed, on heroin, all types of stuff. So I think those, those were keys to the album. And album came out in 1971. So the Bloods were listening to that album, like the whole world was, and Hanoi Hannah was playing that album too.
Yeah.
So it's Marvin's songs in this film are like another character.
You there is a very pivotal scene towards the end of the movie. I'm assuming everybody's seen the movie, in which you actually are playing a Marvin Gaye song. Um, it, I was mesmerized, and I told you I've seen the movie 5 times now. And how are we able to pay attention to Marvin Gaye's words and also follow the plot and follow what the characters are saying? How was that a difficult thing to regulate?
That's with Delroy.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
never heard that. My brother came up to me. My brother, who's he shoots all my stuff behind the scenes, and he says, "I just found an acapella version of this song." I said, "What?" He played it for me. I said, "We're using it." That's how it happened.
And speaking, and we'll get into other stuff, but while we're in music, you've worked with Terrence Blanchard over so many movies. And your collaboration with him is it's one of the greatest collaborations in cinema. You know, can you tell us about working on this score with him? And it's one of my favorite scores he's done ever in film.
Well, finally, Terrence got recognized by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences for Black Klansman.
And so did you. Finally got your golden boy.
But Terrence has been with me a long time, because even before he was doing my scores, he was playing trumpet on the scores my father did. My father,
Wow.
Bill Lee, wrote the scores for She's Gonna Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, and Mo Better Blues. And Terrence played on those. Mo Better Blues, in Mo Better Blues, when you hear, that's Branford Marsalis.
Oh.
So he's been with me a long time, even before he started scoring my films.
Okay. And I love his usage of string composition, and in this movie, the conversation with Otis and Melvin is when he uses the string composition. I'm just curious why in that sequence Terrence did the string composition.
For what scene?
Otis and Melvin are talking to one another.
Oh, yeah. On the steps?
Correct, yeah. And then you get
Yeah.
you get the string composition of Terrence.
Well, what I do, once we have a cut, Terrence comes up from New Orleans to Brooklyn, and then we sit down and we watch the film, we screen it, then we have lunch, and then we come back and I stop and start and show him where I want to have score, and then I tell him what color I want. Instruments have colors.
Mhm.
And then I like to have themes for characters too. So Terrence will then go back to New Orleans and send me some sketches, not fully, written out, but just melodies. I love melodies. And then the ones I like, I assign to a character, and that's the way we work.
That's, and the melody that you assign to Tien and Michon in Vietnam, it's one of the most beautiful melodies that Terrence
I
ever
love
done.
melodies, so I said, Terrence, I don't have to tell him, one on one. He He loves melodies too. So it's a good, you know. Also, we've done so many films together that we have our own shorthand. You know, so
Mhm.
there's not any really long discussions needed.
Now, this is the first time that you work in a film with Newton Thomas Siegel, who did the
Yes.
cinematography.
Yeah.
You know,
We
can you
did,
tell
we shot a couple commercials before, but
commercials?
this is the first time a feature film.
And tell us about working with him. In particular, you know, you've always explored mixing formats, and you do this again in the film. But I was particularly struck the way that you guys explore the idea of memory with the formats.
Well, we're both, he's a year ahead of me. He was born a year ahead of me. I was born in 57. Tom was born in 58. And as you know, the Vietnam War was a war that was televised into American homes. So we saw Vietnam, the Vietnam War on television, and they shot it with 16mm cameras.
Mhm.
So I mean, we had to think long and hard that we had the flashback stuff. We're going to shoot it with 16mm cameras.
Mhm. And you play with the aspect ratio, and
Yeah.
you're aware of the changes in the aspect ratio. Um, can it? I just love.
It just is another signal to the audience, like moving on to something else.
Yeah, once you get to the jungle, it also, you change from, we've been in widescreen all
Yeah.
through Vietnam, but once we get to the jungle, it goes into even wider. Uh, you know, do you love playing and we know with the audience and the ratios?
Well, I wouldn't use the word. I would not use the word playing, but it's for me is freedom.
Hmm.
You know, that's why I tell my students NYU. You know, you gotta learn the rules first, then break them. Like there's no Orson Welles, whoever not write the Bible of cinema. No disrespect to Orson, I love him, but myself, I never wanted to be the type of artist where I would handcuff because what had been done or what hadn't been done. So it's not any deeper than that, you know.
Hmm. And and I I, the film is so political, is so, I mentioned earlier before we went live that there's so many layers. The one thing that I'm so blown away by this film is that you obviously love cinema so much, and you are so knowledgeable. Watching this film, you could get a history lesson, but you also get a film studies lesson.
Oh, cinema studies, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you the Treasure of Sierra Madre, Apocalypse Now, the Bridge on the River Kwai, and you the way that I see it is that you playfully pay homage to all of these movies.
You
Um,
like that word playfully, huh?
yeah, because well, to me, it's just delicious watching. I mean, I can feel that you're having a great time putting these things on. Like, you know, when
Well, they were great movies made before I was born.
Mhm.
You know, I have to tell my students at NYU, you know, they're great films. Their great films were made before you were born, and they might be in black and white.
Mhm.
So my mother was a cinephile. So she was, you know, dragging me to movies at a young age, but not so I could be a filmmaker, just so she loved movies. And I was my mother's movie date because my father hated Hollywood movies, hated them.
Mhm. Um, let's talk about the DAP and the handshake that is in the movie. That the it's more than a handshake. It's not fair to call it a handshake. It's far deeper than a handshake. Can you tell us about the usage and the introduction of that? For those who don't know, it's when the Bloods greet each other, they have this very elaborate salutation.
All it's about is love. These black men were there, shipped to the front line, and they only had each other. So it was a show, an exhibition of love.
Mhm,
Like, I got your back, you got my back.
mhm.
And they brought that back to the United States. So all this stuff like that did not happen in the United States. It did not originate there. It originated in Vietnam, and the Bloods brought it back.
Well, you mentioned the idea of love, and it, it is ultimately a love story between these five men, and that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about this film. The fact that they may have differences between each other, like Paul, is a Trump lover, and but they still uh, he was part of the group because of the love that they have with one another. Was it challenging for you to create a character like Paul that is so complex and goes against, I know, your political beliefs?
Well, here's the thing. My co-writer, Kevin Woolman, and I, this is this is original screenplay written by Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo. So when it was brought to us, Paul's character was there. The thing was, it was called The Last Tour, and 4 of the 5 vets were white. Oliver Stone had it for a couple of years, then moved on. So when I read it, I knew right away that we had to flip this and tell this great script from the viewpoint of African American vets. And Kevin Woolman and I, we wrote our draft.
And tell us about Delroy as Paul, which is one of the most amazing performances I have ever seen.
In recent time, at least, right?
It's Shakespearean, and in particular, Spike, the scene where he goes completely mad, and you have him talking to us directly, talking to you. How, can you tell us about how that scene come about?
Well, Delroy is a great actor, but he's been a great actor.
Yeah.
He didn't just show up. Denzel, the first time, excuse me, I always get because of the D's. Delroy is a great actor. He didn't just show up. We first worked together in Malcolm
Malcolm
X,
X.
where he
Yeah.
played Weston Archie. Then he played my real life father in Crooklyn. Then he played the drug kingpin in Clockers. And until the other day, when Delroy told me, I forgot, it's been 25 years since we had last worked together. 25 years. So he's always, and what I'm trying to say is that he didn't just show up. Delroy has been putting in work for decades. And finally, people are really seeing what he's been doing throughout. And so often, you have great actors, but they need that one role. They need that one role. That big, juicy fruit
Yeah.
role. And Delroy tore that shit up. What he does in this, woo, Lord.
It's one, as I said, it's one of the best performances I've ever seen capture on film. When you were going back to that scene with him talking directly to us, when that was being filmed, did you, with your experience, know that, man, I'm capturing one of the greatest moments here?
Well, I wasn't thinking like greatest moments, but I'm saying this is good. This is great.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing though. There's two sequences where he talks into the camera, but the one you're talking about really sets up the final one,
Mhm.
where he's talking to the camera, but he's also having a conversation with God.
Mhm.
And then something catches his eye, and then he sees Storm and Norman, who's
Correct.
been haunting him for a very, very, very long time.
And of course, it's played by Chadwick, who's played Jackie Robinson, who's played James Brown, who's played Thurgood Marshall, and
The dark-skinned Thurgood Marshall.
yes, and then he's also played, you know, these are all like bigger than life characters, and you
He
cast.
has that. He has that charisma. That's why I cast him. I mean, he has that charisma. He's a
and
fine actor.
and
I mean, you could be a fine actor and not have charisma. But he has both.
and Newton Thomas Siegel, the cinematographer, lights him in this photo very and sort of angelic way.
But you
Every
know
time.
what? That was heavenly light.
So it was intentionally to be like heavenly
No, I'm
light.
saying we didn't like that. That was the light. That was God's light lighting him like that.
Oh, okay. Well, it works out incredible. Every time we see him,
He does. He looks angelic.
he looks he looks
He looks angelic.
it's beautifully shot every time he's on. Where I know that there's you seem to have a foresight in the past when Malcolm X was released, when Black Klansman was released. Did you ever imagine that the timing of the release of this film and how you've hit the zeitgeist with this movie? This is the
It
movie.
wasn't intentional, but the film was done before the pandemic. Let me recount it for you and everyone is listening. Everybody, thanks for
Yeah.
tuning in. I was going to be the first Black person to be president of the Khan jury ever. The Five Bloods was the world premiere of the Five Bloods going to be in Cannes out of competition. This film was made by Netflix. Every studio in town turned it down. Netflix was the last place we had to go. So all those things were put in place. Then the world changed. Another thing I like to say, which has come up with me doing a lot of these interviews, journalists have been asking me, did I go back and shoot that Black Lives Matter scene? That was the first scene we shot.
Amazing.
In pre-production. I always like to shoot a couple scenes in pre-production before we begin the very first day of principal photography. That Black Lives Matter scene was the first scene we shot.
Incredible. Well, it's
My friends call me Negro Damas.
well, um, it is such an incredible artistic statement, but at the same time, it's such an incredible statement. Period. I mean, people have always said that art has the power to educate and shake us up, and your film does it all. It entertains us, but at the same time, shake us up. Makes us think, and it's remarkable film. When you were making a film,
Are
Spike?
you a voting member of the Academy?
No, no, but
Just joking. We're just having fun. We're just having fun.
oh, I know you are. I know you are. And you know, it's so, I love when you tease me because I am so intimidated by you. I'm in awe of you. I'm a
No,
great.
no need to be, my
I'm-
man. We're just having a conversation and people listening in. That's
Well,
all it is. That's all it is.
Listening in are some Academy members, and it's an incredible achievement. I mean, when you make a film, are you aware that you have to entertain and at the same time, you know, tell the truth and shake people up?
You know, no one's ever asked me that question before, so I thank you for it. I grew up watching films that were very serious and also had humor. Now, I make a distinction between humor and comedy. One of the greatest filmmakers ever, Stanley Kubrick, Dr. Strangelove. What is more serious than the annihilation of this earth we live on? That shit is funny as a motherfucker.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, you go to Billy Wilder, Start Like 17, POW camp, World War II. I mean, so I've never believed that it's a serious film and you cannot have any humor in a serious film. You could do both. I've done it. Do the Right Thing is funny.
Yeah. And Black
But
Klansman is
there's
hysterical.
some funny things in Do the Right Thing, but that is serious. I don't think also, I like to say this though. It's a very difficult balance act. Because one way or the other, you're a tightrope.
Mm-hmm.
One way over, you could fall over and crash. But I can name a whole lot more films that I can't remember right now, but it's been done before.
Mm-hmm.
To have humor with very serious subject matter.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, because I know you have to go, you're a terrific.
What time is it?
5:30.
We got 45 minutes, right?
We have another 10 minutes.
We're going to another big team. I'm good.
Okay. Why have you not acted in one of your films in a while? You're a very good
Because
actor.
I'm not a good actor.
Oh, that's not true. Come on, Mookie you're terrific and so memorable.
Well, I'm only good when I'm playing myself. If I got to do something else, I don't cast myself in the movie. So I played myself innumerable times.
And
Different aspects of myself.
well, tell us about shooting in Vietnam. I mean, and you actually, you also shot in Thailand as well.
Well, the bulk of the principal photography was done in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
I got on a plane to Bangkok the morning after winning an Oscar. And Thomas Siegel, the cameraman, Win Thomas, production designer, and my AD, David, they had been there 4 weeks already, waiting on me. So the minute my foot hit the ground in Bangkok, I had to like forget about this Oscar stuff because I mean, that was over with. I had to shoot a film, and we had the race before the monsoon season was coming. And pre-production started 4 weeks. They had to start 4 weeks ahead of me, so I had to catch up. This film would have not been the same film shooting on a Hollywood backlot. We had to shoot in the jungle. It was rare. It was a rare day that wasn't over 100 degrees.
Wow. Wow. And the decision, Spike, which is brilliant, by the way, but I love to hear.
I know the question you're gonna ask, but go ahead.
Oh, well, then if you're psychic, you're Nostradamus. What?
Oh, Negro Damas.
Negro Damas. Why not de-aging them? Why did you have the actors, play their age when we go back in flashbacks?
It's a multitude of answers, and I will answer them all. This film was made for a price with Netflix. It would not have been made for an additional $100 million or a special effect. Another answer, I've seen very few films that worked for me where they cast younger actors to play the younger versions of the main actors. I just told you that it was a rare day that was not over 100 degrees. Prosthetics would have melted off their face. But here's the really, if you take the money out of the equation, I have belief in the intelligence of my movie going audience. The people that go see my films are intelligent. And I knew that the first time they see this age thing, it would be a little jarring, but they would get it. They would understand that these guys who are middle-aged men are going back to the memory of them being 17, 18 years old in Vietnam. And the audience is very intelligent.
I thought, all of the above, but I thought it was so beautiful that you're telling us that war has not ended, that war continues for these characters.
That's a great line that the character, the Vietnamese tour guide, Ben says,
correct.
War never ends.
And because of that, the fact that they're, the past and the present are colliding, it's poetic to have them, be the same age as the movie progresses. It's beautiful. It works fantastically. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, let's say that it is the most important film and one of the most important films I've seen in my lifetime.
And hold up.
No, I'm not just because you're here, Spike. I've been saying this to everybody. I've seen this, it's a major film.
But here's the thing, though. Look, I'm not trying to correct the way you feel. I love that you would feel like that. But what's helping this film now is the world, the impact of this film is really, I mean, a large part of it is that it was released during the time we live in now. We're in the middle of a revolution right here. So I think that the film, the right time for this film.
But 10 years, trust me, if both of us are still alive 10 years from now, 15.
Well, hey, speak for yourself. I'm gonna be here.
And hopefully you're gonna be making films.
Kurosawa was 80 something. I'm only 63, so.
So, you know, you're gonna be, we're gonna be looking back at this film. We're going to be analyzing it. We're going to be studying it. And it is, you know, I've seen it 5 times, and as I say, every time I see it,
That's enough for a minute though. Give it a break.
Yeah. Okay.
Get a break.
On that note, my dear friend, thank you so much for.
Thank you.
Yeah, quite an honor. And everybody out there, if you have not seen The Five Bloods, see it, and you got to see it more than once, because the more you see it, the more you get out of it.
Layers
Upon layers upon layers. You know, and keep track of where that MAGA hat goes, because it doesn't stay on Delroy's head. You know, it keeps going to different people wearing that hat.
Has a life of his own.
Yes. Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Stay healthy.
Safe. Also, all my people in California, come on now. Wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Yes. Keep the peace.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.